But what the hell is a world model? They are not only large language models. They don't only read about whatever is there on the internet. They are not some knowledge dump. What they are, I would use two keywords simply: physical and spatial. They have physical and spatial understanding of the world. We simply mean that they have an internal representation of an environment that allows an agent to simulate reality, to simulate and understand reality, to predict the future states, and to understand causality. First thing is they understand the spatial and temporal context of the universe. If you see a world model looking at a frame, they don't only understand the frame, they understand how the objects within the frame are moving through the three-dimensional space over the fourth dimensional time, over time. Now, intuitive physics, they also understand intuitive physics. So it knows that if you push the glass off a table, it's going to fall. That means they understand the idea of gravity. They understand the idea of fluids. And they also understand how all of these objects are behaving with respect to physics in our real universe. And along with that, they can perform actions. And they also understand what is going to happen if an action is performed. If I perform action X, what will the world look like in the next 5 seconds? So they help you produce an internal representation of the world that allows an agent to simulate reality, predict the future states, understand the causality, why certain things are happening. How do we think or prove that Gemini 3 might be a world model, or it has the potential to do general purpose world modeling? So the proof that Gemini 3 is a world model lies in its performance, especially on the benchmarks that require mental models rather than pattern matching. There are certain benchmarks that tests your reasoning ability by very complex logical puzzles. So they are not simply basic LLM benchmarks. So for example, one of such benchmarks is ARC-AGI2. So Gemini 3 holds a record of performing 84 to 85% on that ARC-AGI2 benchmark, where it was able to solve logical puzzles. And those logical puzzles can only be solved when your model has a reasoning engine and it's not doing simple pattern matching, or it's not simply simulating the internet. The second reason is that why Gemini 3 might be a world model is it understands, it can do deep thinking, and it understands intuitive physics. So in its deep thinking mode, Gemini 3 has achieved gold medal standards in the International Physics Olympiad. This requires simulating complex physical systems like fluid dynamics or electromagnetic fields in a mental workspace before providing an answer. Some researchers have used Gemini 3 to edit or to detect logical flaws in some of the research in theoretical physics, especially in quantum gravity. So this particular evidence suggested that the model might have a coherent world state that it used to verify the information. Now, whenever I think about world models, especially Gemini 3, I always want to correlate it with one thing is AGI, the other thing is the physical AI and embodied systems, right? A world model can act as an operating system for physical AI, especially when we talk about aerial vehicles, robots, drones, and autonomous vehicles. Gemini 3 kind of possesses native multimodality. So what it simply means is that Gemini 3 does not translate images into text to understand those images. It basically processes video, audio, and spatial data in a unified latent space, right? So it's not converting everything to a textual representation and then creating the representation of the text in order to build an opinion. What it's rather doing is it is processing each of the modality, video, audio, and data in a common unified latent space. Now the second reason is Gemini 3 can simulate environments. It can be used to train robots in a virtual world before they ever touch a physical object. So the same concept that we have seen in AlphaFold. So you create an environment. In that environment, you put up or deploy an agent. That agent will learn from the environment and better itself. We can do that simulation or we can do the creation of an environment here using Gemini 3. Now, the main question that I keep on wondering about is Gemini 3 already very close to AGI? So I don't really know, right? So the first level of all of these AI systems are nothing but the transformers, which are very dense transformers. Let's call them LLMs. So they help us in predicting the next word. They are stochastic, probabilistic. Now the second level is where Gemini 3 has reached, which I simply call world models. So they help you predict the next state of reality. They can do causal reasoning. They understand the physical, spatial, and temporal structure of the universe. And Gemini 3 is kind of at this particular level. Whereas level 3 is what I would define AGI using my taxonomy, which is inspired by DeepMind. So now level 3's AGI is nothing but it can generalize the world models across every possible domain. Now level 4 is superintelligence, where you simulate the world faster and more accurately than reality in itself. So they might call it singularity. So by internalizing the rules of the universe, physical, social dynamics, logic, causal reasoning, Gemini 3 moves towards superintelligence or AGI. But obviously it's way far. We need multiple breakthroughs before we reach AGI. But Gemini 3 is kind of the best native multimodal that can do general purpose world modeling.